what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians to talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. This is another Heavy Montreal presents Vox and Hops episode. Heavy Montreal is Montreal's premier metal promoter. They normally put on a bunch of sick shows all year long, and they also host one of North America's sickest metal festivals. Trust me, people, I've played them all, and Heavy Montreal is up there with the best of them. But now, due to COVID, sadly, there are no shows. So in order to stay in contact with bands that they love and with the Montreal fans, they are now behind the Vox and Hops podcast, and I'm super stoked about that. You only have a few days left to pre-order the Vox and Hops Overhop Canada collab brew, aptly called Vox and Overhops. This is a double dry hopped New England IPA, which will be available as of November 21st, and I'm super stoked about it. You only have up until Friday to pre-order, and with that pre-order, you get a sick-ass t-shirt, which will be printed at The Imprint here in Montreal. They are my favorite local merch company. They make the best products, and I love them to death. So super stoked. Pre-order your Vox and Overhops collab brew and the sick-ass t-shirt with it. You have up until Friday, people, and you can do that via the pre-order page on Overhop Canada's website, which I have put that link in the description of this podcast. On today's episode, I am with another legend from the extreme metal scene. Today, I am with Kevin Sharp of Venomous Concept, Primate, Lockup, and of course, Brutal Truth. This is Vox and Hops episode number 194.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm with Kevin Sharp of Venomous Concept. He just released a record with them called Politics versus the Erection, which came out via Season of Mist on August 28th. He's also a member of Primate and Lockup. He was in a very influential band called Brutal Truth and in Damaged. How are you doing, Kevin? How are you coping with 2020?
I'm having the time of my life, man. Everything's so exciting. You know, that is that tingling in my arm? Is my arm numb, or am I having a heart attack? I don't even know, but it's so exciting.
How has it been as an artist to be able to just go on hold? How has that been for you?
It's a nightmare. A lot of people don't understand. You know, because I guess I've never been asked this question. That's an interesting thought. You know, guys like me and Shane, we've been on tour since like the 80s. And with him, it was always full on nonstop. Whereas like I, at a certain point, stopped doing music full time, like, you know, touring 8-10 months out of the year. And then had started adding other elements in my life, like work elements and that sort of thing. So, yeah, so I ended up getting my own carpentry business. It takes care of things while I'm, you know, not, you know, dividing up the worlds, you know. But like for people like Shane, you know, like he's been on tour since like 1988. So like sitting at home for 6 months, I mean, you don't understand like how everyone's climbing the fucking walls, man.
Being a touring musician, you're just so constantly used to being somewhere new, albeit that new place is often a very familiar place that you've been to before, because touring cycles tend to repeat themselves. But you're always on the move. It's always new. It's always fresh, and to be trapped in one place can be very challenging.
Well, I mean, from my perspective, like my kind of touring, because when I go on tour, I also sell the merch. It's the last VC tour. I'm TM'd Breweria, VC, Aggression, and who else was on that? My mind escapes. But I tour manage, but you know, the thing is that like I grew up doing that. So like I'm at a point now when I go places and go on tour, there'll be people that I've known for years who've come and hung out at the merchandise booth and stuff like that. And so like I've developed kind of a strange relationship with multiple people everywhere. You know what I mean? And it's what's really cool about being old as fucking dirt is that like nowadays they'll like bring their kids to the show, and it'll be like their 16, 17-year-old kid, and it's like you all of a sudden realize that you've become a part of these people's world. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, you know, it's not even just the bands and the friends and bands and the concept of you know what your day at work looks like. It has to do with like the majority of my friends are not here. So even though there's no real quarantine, I only have a handful of friends here. So all my friends are everywhere else, and there you go.
and that is true. That's sad. It's something that we have to cope with as a part of this pandemic is being isolated from those people that we're so used to hanging out with, and as you mentioned, are part of their world. You're a big part of their world, which is very interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like you know, Shane is like the closest thing I have to a brother. So like, you know, when I'm over there, I like to go and see his mother Ann and his sister and her husband. They're like really cool people, and you know, so you know, these are my cares, and they're not, you know, it's sort of like kind of weird, you know. You know, you worry about them; they're just like family to me, you know. So.
And then there's the big question mark of when are we all going to be allowed to get it back out there, which makes it even harder, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really talk about it because the internet's a strange thing, but like, you know, we'll be recording again soon.
Sick.
But this is a different kind of record altogether. And there's also another demo for another record after that, which is even weirder. It's like space punk rock, kind of like, you know, you could easily see some of the older elements of you know, Helios Creed meets like Butthole Surfers kind of thing.
Very interesting. Is this for new projects or for projects
Now,
that you're
this is for
currently a part of?
VC. We've
Very
just
cool.
decided to like, you know, we went with some other elements on the current record, you know, just to kind of push in directions that we wanted to go in with the band, you know. And I think the record that we're recording next has a lot of melodic stuff to it as well, like in a Husker Du sense. You know, I don't know whether you're familiar with Husker Du.
I am not, sadly, no.
Okay, so yeah, well, whatever. It's like old school Midwest hardcore band that ended up doing melodic things, and I guess the person you would know would be Bob Mould.
Mm-hmm.
You know Bob Mould? That was his old hardcore band when he was a kid.
Very cool. Very cool.
A little bit melodic tendencies like that, which is just like noisy melodic stuff. But you know, we just decided that, like, you know, we're old, we're set in our ways, we like the music we like, and you know, hopefully other people will listen to it. So, you know,
I think
we tell some jokes along the way.
As long as you enjoy it and you're having fun. And as you mentioned that on this new record, the politics versus the erection, you guys sort of teased, sort of tested the waters of this new direction. Do you think that bands have to do that? They have to put out that middle record before just going into something new? Do you think that helps the transition?
I don't know. I mean, because like we were ass deep in the record that we're about to record, like demoing and passing things around for a minute, and at the last minute we were like, why don't we just do like a spontaneous record, like something impulsive and not really plan anything about it. And the next thing you know, I'd like booked some flights over to Birmingham, and we went in and recorded the basics for this record. So we had a rough idea what we wanted to do, but like a handful of riffs, you know, but all of that stuff is 4 days in, you know. Wow. Just walking in 4 days. They would be off in the other room, like throwing riffs around, and then I would be thumbing out like some patterns, and then formulating some ideas for lyric and stuff like that. We wanted something, you know, because like back in the 80s, like part of the charm was with the analog recordings and stuff like that, that there was good is good enough, you know what I mean? And some of the, if you want to talk about metal records and stuff like that, like, you know, the early Possessed record and that kind of stuff, like was like, you know, or even like Creator, you know, like Pleasure to Kill and stuff like that, where they just run out of steam at the end of the song, and you know that like they're just playing beyond their ability. And part of that for me is the charm, is the imperfection is perfection to me. You know what I mean? Like I don't like the way digital recording has created this culture of edits and people emailing kick drums over. And I think that sometimes it's the mistakes. You can catch the urgency in it. That's why those records are classic when you listen to them. I mean, think about how many great records came out in the 80s, you know, and how chaotic but that's because the chaos was a part of the sound. So yeah, we wanted an urgent, chaotic sound.
Absolutely. And writing a record in 4 days, that can definitely bring a sense of urgency.
But you know, the thing, strangely enough, like when Shane or I are in a special world, we'll just fire off records. Like we just finished a Lockup EP and are mostly done with the record. So I mean, it's just like sometimes, like if one thing is certain in this crazy pandemic, whatever you want to say, if anyone out there doing music, I'm certain they're coming up with the craziest shit. So, I mean, I know it sounds stupid and everybody always says like, well, at least we'll get a good song out of it or something like that, man. But, you know, there's something about fucking utter crisis that is easiest to tap into creatively, I guess. I don't know.
Absolutely. It's one good thing that came out of 2020 is everyone has the time and the influence of the uncertainty to put themselves into a creative spree.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because, you know, like I said, like, you know, Bill from Mastodon, like Bill and this dude, Tom Tapley, built a studio over in West Side. And at any rate, like, you know, so he's been like completely submerged in writing Mastodon stuff. So like, you know, I know that those guys, well as Brent is also doing like a West End Motel thing. So those guys are like, I know that like everybody I know, Christian Whores, all those dudes, or everybody's like on fire, because it's just like, you're right. What else are you going to do? You can't really go out. You may as well sit there and write a riff.
No excuses, people.
Exactly. Get off your ass, man.
Vox&Hops is all about hanging out. My metal friends talking about their life, music, and craft beer. Right when we kicked this off, before we started recording this, you mentioned that you are now dry. Did you want to talk about that?
I pandemic responsibly.
Which is the opposite of most people, actually.
Nah, you know, yeah, you know, I would just say that my life got super busy. Everything's like, you know, when I was younger in my 20s, if you would have even said like where I would be at in my 50s, you know, like there's no, you have no idea like what that story is. And now that I'm here, I'm absolutely confused. But I would just say that like I had these ideas that everything would be slower paced or whatever, you know, and it's far from it. So just in general, in terms of just like being present with the family and situations and that sort of thing, I've just put it on hold. But I do enjoy I still like the taste of beer. It just doesn't have any alcohol in it. And then when my life chills out and I'm able to unwind a little bit, then we'll talk about IPAs and stuff then.
So you're drinking a non-alcoholic Beck's. It's a Beck's Zero, I believe it's called.
Yeah, but I mean, they make much better ones over in Europe, though.
Absolutely.
I was telling you, my sound guy, JB, he was like an exercise guy and just didn't like getting drunk on tour. And he turned me on to him. He'd just show up from the sound, he'd like walk around and he'd be like, here, try this. And I'm like, what is this? And oh, it's non-alcohol. You don't drink, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, God, this tastes like beer.
It's sick. It's the evolution has been amazing. For myself, I'm going to be cracking open a Hopman from Overhop Canada. They are a Brazilian-based brewery that has moved up here. They kept the one down in Rio de Janeiro, and now they have one up here in Canada, in Montreal. This is a New England double IPA, clocks in at a nice 8.5% ABV. I love the Pac-Man ripoff where he's eating hops and has to avoid the corn.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Avoid corn bad, hops good.
Tell me a little bit about how that first tour, when you did make that decision. I know for myself, going from being someone that really enjoys beer and it becomes like a part of that social aspect after a show. How did you cope with that, if you mind talking about that?
What with when I quit drinking?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, honestly, just for me personally, and I think it's like the way with cigarettes or any kind of real habit, you're either done with it and put it away, or you know what I mean. Like I think if I didn't really want to stop drinking, I would by all means wouldn't. It's not like I blew my pancreas out or anything like that. It's just like trying to keep my my crisis is in order, you know. So you know, it's not a big deal to me. I mean, like if it was, I would pop a beer, and it would probably in Avery.
Yeah, damn yeah.
I had like one of the best times in my life at that brewery. It was one of those magical days. I was there with Dave Whitty.
It's always it's always Dave Whitty. I love how many times his name comes up on Vox&Hops. I love it.
It's always going to come back to him, man. And there was that time with Dave Whitty where we got the all day pass. They gave us a golden ticket, man. We showed up there. It was like kind of like it was a beer festival kind of thing, and all the local breweries out there would you know, have all these gigs and stuff. And we went out to Avery, which was just outside of Denver. And okay, first of all, setting it all up, you walk down and you pass a DeLorean workshop. Like there's 3 or 4 DeLoreans in the garage, and you're just like, where am I? You know? And they gave us this band that says "Give me piss," and you could just like say and order whatever. It was on the house. It's all day sucker. It was incredible. Can you imagine?
I can.
We were so pro about it though. We'd go through one, and then we would drink like a water.
You have to.
And then we'd eat a little bit of food, and we went about it like for the long haul. And I want to say that we were there like maybe 8 hours.
Wow. With professionals.
Oh man, and I had one of those what the 15 pumpkin one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do actually. Yeah.
The super cave. Oh man, it was so delicious, man. It was like right off the teat.
That's amazing. Let's dance into back when you were young.
Yes, young.
Growing up in your parents' or guardians' house, what music was playing when you were not in control of the music? What music did your parents or guardians listen to?
Oh, you know, my folks are kind of heads, you know. They like Carole King and War and all that kind of shit that was going on. Three Dog Night, whatever, you know, all those, you know, that was the thing. And also really heavy into the Macon sound, the Capricorn stuff, you know, Wet Willie, Allman Brothers, blah, 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 that kind of thing. That being a Southern thing, that's kind of like our church, our Led Zeppelin,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, that kind of stuff. And then, I stumbled into things totally haphazardly. I was downtown with my mother, and she went off to go do a thing, and I was at this local spot called the Varsity, and I was watching, and she told me to stay put and watch TV. It was like a fast food joint that had like a bunch of school desks that all faced a TV. It's like total American, just eating your fast food hot dog in front of the TV, in a school desk, hilarious,
Next to other people that you're not communicating with. Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody's communicating. They're watching the old TV boxes. Yeah.
The boob tube. Yeah.
And there was a venue called the 688 Club down the street. And I saw some weird looking dudes with like a mohawk walk by. And I just walked out the door, a couple doors down. There was a show with Corrosion Conformity, Neon Christ, and DDT, which were, Neon Christ and DDT were kind of local, like hardcore things, and I popped in there just for a nanosecond. It was just like a virus, I knew I'd found my people. So, but Atlanta was different back then. Like there was the metal scene, there was a hardcore scene, there was a skinhead scene, a punk scene, or whatever. Drag queen scene, RuPaul and those, and we all kind of were in the same spot.
All sharing the same, like, outcast.
All sharing the same air, and it was kind of, I don't know, that's probably where I was gifted tolerance, accepting people and for different thinking,
That's awesome. It was like a small little microcosm of your city.
Yeah. You got to think, it was early-ish, mid 80s, and very conservative Atlanta. Nobody lived in Atlanta. It was like Baltimore. They all lived out in the suburbs and stuff like that. Worked in Atlanta. Recently everyone migrated back to the city, but back then it was a playground.
You mentioned a little bit about the how modern recording sounds are missing the urgency and the human-esque aspects of it. What else has changed for the better or for the worst in the metal scene, in your opinion?
I'm going to be, hang on just a second. Let me shut this off real quick so you're not like going deaf here. I would say the political division. It's toxic, and it's all bullshit to me, man. Like I remember when I was a kid in that scene that we were just talking about, back in 1986, you had a Democratic convention down the street from the punk rock venue, and the Mentors broke down like the month prior to this thing, and they built out a stage because they were stranded or whatever, and they staying at the Metroplex, and Paul would put them to work, and then they drink half their pay at the bar that night, and so we were never getting rid of the Mentors, but they built a stage for the anti-democratic convention. And that was the time when Rob Lowe got busted shagging the underage punk rock chick.
Jesus, really? Holy shit!
Yeah, but this was a different time. He would have been completely drawn to quarter if it was current situation.
100%. You're 100% right.
But he attributes that incident to sobering up and getting his shit together. So I guess it is what it is. But at any rate, like it was always the alternative community, because that scene was the reggae, all of that, was all anti-political. It's where I came from, man. It's just like, it's not red or blue. Both parties are fantastically inept. It's incredible that they're in charge of such an important thing.
Absolutely.
If you sit there from a conscious thinking human and think that any of those clowns care.
Or that they're any really different from one another.
Yeah, they are. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Don't get me started. It's a comedy, though. It's a tribute to the marketing genius that is Trump. I mean, he's terrible at business. He's terrible at so many things, but everyone underestimates how great he is at marketing. He's branded that image. You know, he has a way of doing business where it's just sort of leasing his name out. You know what I mean? And like, he's a sick genius in that world, like in a total criminal mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, whatever. It's no different than Mitch or Nancy. What a pile! Oh my God! No, I just okay. So we could spend days laughing at how grim everything is, because it is fucking grim, right?
It's pretty dark, and we, you know, but us as artists, we have to
laugh
and keep
yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Feeding the world with.
But that's what I'm sad. I'm sad at both my left and right friends for behaving like retards. I mean, that's a terrible thing to say. I back that up, man. But you know what I mean? They're acting like, I don't know. Like that whole division thing, that's the biggest heartbreak, man.
Then the whole advent of social media must be is a huge difference on the musical
It's
scene.
that attack culture. You know, you want to attack someone because, you know, maybe you don't feel so good about yourself. I don't know. I'm certain there's some Freudian noise for what's going on, but I honestly think that if everyone just tuned out, you know what I mean? Just tuned out for a minute, man. Like, put down your Facebook, put down your, you know, like, we're fed CNN or Fox 24/7. It's a steady diet of garbage, and you know, they create their little music to go with it. And it's how to sell it, how to market it, and then watching everyone believe it. It's incredible, man. What a machine.
It is, and then the people that are running these whole campaigns on the sides are loving it.
They're the only ones that win, you know.
They're loving it.
I mean, we could sit here and talk about the tick for tack of whatever, you know.
We need to hire them to promote our bands. That's what we need to do, Kevin.
Okay, so anyway, so back to the record, whatever, there's a concept in there called Vote Clown Party. Actually, we recorded a song for Decibel Flexi on that's outside of this recording, but at any rate, Vote Clown Party. And the concept behind that is you know, vote the person in office out, whoever party they are, and vote for the other one. Vote didn't coming out, like, because it's just like they're all guilty of not getting things done. It takes two people to communicate, and if you have different ideas, then you have to figure out a way of communicating. It takes two people to do that. It's embarrassing the way they behave.
As any good relationship, it needs to go back and forth and through a communication, but it's very hard to communicate with an entire nation.
Well, it's not even necessarily that, because the message has been sold as the only concept of their campaign. You know, I thought of something the other day that was really weird. Like, imagine if they spent a fraction of the money that they spent on advertising and all the advertising is basically them just saying, I'm less evil than the other guy.
Yeah.
If they spent a fraction of the money unfucking the mess, instead of trying to, you know, perpetuate their career.
Absolutely.
100%. In short, that's how I feel about politics.
I agree. I totally agree about that.
But you know, I get a lot of heat, you know, from the record, from this, that, and the other, who don't seem to understand that, like, but it doesn't matter, because people just.
You must have not been surprised about that too, with the album artwork and
well, yeah, but
the name.
I mean, Yeah,
the time
but
that it came out.
well, I mean, it was all of Vicious Storm, really, because the record was recorded a year ago. Just like
Wow. Okay.
it was the circumstances of everything snowballing into a point, and then the pandemic hit, and then that put everything on ice for a minute too, So, and it was really ironic and almost like strangely prophetic, some of the songs in there, because it just exploded right in front of my face after, 6 months after I tracked it,
Wow.
and it's just like, oh my god, man.
Another one.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Okay, so Brutal Truth, right?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so there's a record called Sounds of the Animal Kingdom, and on the back of it there's a target on the World Trade Center. You know what I speak of?
Absolutely, yes.
And then 2 years later, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna just step back out of this one real quick. I don't even want to think why that happened. But there's been like a couple of things like that with the bands that I've been in, where you're just like, man, maybe you shouldn't put forth an image or a thought, like especially if you don't want it to come true.
Jesus, yeah. With all that in mind, it must be interesting. How did you feel when you released an album during a pandemic and you can't tour? What were your thoughts about that?
I can't help it. It's like it's music is still what we do. So like, we're about to finish recording the next VC record. I just finished a Lockup EP and working on that record. I mean, it's weird, I know we talked about people that live on the road, and then all of a sudden there is not the road, so it's just it's like a little taste of what you are, being able to record music. So I know a lot of people are recording because of that, and that's why you see all these little virtual things where Charlie from Anthrax is playing drums with this, that, and the other and stuff like that, because they're just trying to operate, and you know what I mean, and it's hard. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy to survive when you have your next
Yeah,
hypothetically
yeah.
2 years of income just out the window. And
Exactly. And and I know all sorts of techs and sound guys and this, that, and the other.
they got it the worst, dude. Yeah.
And it's just like no love at all from our government in terms of these workers.
No.
No
Shout
love
out
to the
to
clubs. No
shout out
love
to For the Nomads, which is a charity that's been set up by a crew member for crew members. They've been doing they've raised thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for crew members. So shout out to them.
Exactly. But I mean, I would say that just everybody's in hard times, even if bartending's your thing. You know what I mean? There was years and years and years that I ran bars. You know what I mean? And at some point I decided didn't want to be up all night. And that's when I started doing more carpentry work and doing that kind of thing. And had I stayed in that world, man, I would have been devastated right now.
Absolutely. Then there's also the side for artists that we are so used to being on stage and having a relationship with the crowd and doing our art and then getting those goosebumps. So how have you been feeling that need? Because it is a real humanistic need.
Actually, for me, it's gonna sound weird or whatever, but like it's like a character that I dial into, that I remember bits and pieces of gigs, but I don't really. Whatever comes out is just, that's how it is.
Is it like another personality, or is it more like something that you have to
to
put
me
on?
it's the only way you could really describe it is like your alternate personality.
I can understand that for sure.
And it allows you, for that time that you're on stage, not to be cluttered with your everyday thinking. It's a time for me to not be myself for a minute and breathe a little.
So do you miss that, or just going into the studio, does that cover that for you?
Yeah, dude, it comes with damage, like it's like the whole experience. Everyone has their own stories from it. Like, you know, I remember I worked every day after they shut the whole city down. It was super Dawn of the Dead shit, man. Like I was driving around and there was no one.
Yeah, it's weird. Eh?
You know, I was out there and I'd be on what's called Peachtree Street, which is like would be like Madison Avenue or something, you know, just like, you know, where everyone should be. And I would be driving along, I'd see like one car every once in a while.
Crazy. Montreal is still quiet. Still hasn't gone back to what it, even though we're completely open, I still feel like it's empty when I go downtown.
I'll tell you, man, it does a lot into your brain because at the time they were like, if you touch this, you're gonna explode, and if you do this, and finally I just turned off. That's when I just told everyone to fuck off and turned off the Facebook. And you know, I had a good friend of mine who passed away, and you know, a lot of people, you know, when they post all that rest in power shit and stuff like that, you know, I know that they're just like fans saying goodbye, but like it just, you know, I like was sitting there watching it and it's like Facebook is just like a fucking political ad for an obituary, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't want to read about deaths and I don't want to read about politics either, man. That sounds like a total boner killer to me, man.
Absolutely. I recently had Dan Lilker on the podcast, and he mentioned that he was not a part of this Venomous Concept record. Do you want to talk about that? Is there something you'd like to say about that?
No, there's nothing really. I mean, Danny was just like kind of like wanting to dial back for a minute. You know, I don't know exactly what happened with the whole Brutal Fruit thing, man. He just called me up one day and was like, you know, I'm retiring. And I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. I don't know what that means, but go ahead. And so, but he does stuff. He does some nuke stuff and this, that, and the other. But, you know, with Shane and I kind of want to just do shows, you know what I mean? And it doesn't like Dan wouldn't fit in that model, you know, because he's like, you know, he's very tall and touring for him is uncomfortable. Same thing with Barker, you know.
I can imagine, yeah.
You know, it's, you know, the physical toll of doing that for multiple years and being excessive as fuck.
Yeah, a bunk is only so big.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get a bunk, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what it was for Dan. Is it just became difficult for him to like, and he likes to be comfortable. So being home is good for him. And I for reasons I just explained, I need to go talk to that guy who's the alternate side of me. From time to time. It keeps me sane.
Absolutely. I completely understand that. The yang to the yang.
Yeah, I need to talk to that gorilla soon.
to get it out.
Exactly.
It would come out on the other side and it would ruin your life.
Exactly. So until then, I'll just record every random thought that comes out of my head.
Being so busy, where do you get all the inspiration from? And obviously from the world.
Are you kidding me? Just look around. From a social aspect, man. If you know, from the study of a human, it's such a spectacular time to be alive. If you just look, see, everyone's so busy yelling at each other, really not even listening. There's no listening going on, and therefore there's no respect going on. And you know, I may be old school in that thinking, but like that's what's going on. Everyone crawled in their basement and started yelling at each other. You don't think like I think. You're a fucking jerk.
Yeah, there's no debating anymore. During a debate, there was listening that's involved.
And there's no being okay with someone having a different opinion on something. That's the biggest thing. Opinions are free, man. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, we could all have a lot more friends if we just opened up a bit.
Well, you know, outside all the noise, I'll tell you, man. Like if your house burns down, you know, you never know. The Trump supporter next door might help you pin up your wall. Why? Because he's your neighbor. Everyone's forgot that whole concept, man.
Absolutely.
Nobody listens.
Absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much for taking some time having a chat with me. I really, really appreciate it. I normally wrap this up with a hangover cure. You don't get hangovers anymore.
Oh,
But,
you know,
but when you did get a hangover, what would have been your
uh,
hangover cure?
a fucking Mamoon's falafel. There is there is no greater comfort food known to any kind of vegetarian, because I've been a vegetarian or whatever. I used to live on Minetta Street, directly behind McDougal's original like Mamoon's falafel shop, and it was just legendary. You can talk to in numerous people. I was having a conversation about with Carl Legel the other day, man, because he lives in North Carolina now, and they opened up a Mamoon's in Atlanta. And I took a picture and I sent it to him. He was like, "Oh my god!" Because there's an incredibly amount, like 3 of 5 nights would end at this place cramming falafel in your face, trying to get your shit in order. By far, hands down, man. That I never had them, but people swore by them. The kebabs, it's just kebabs there. They're beef kebabs.
Awesome.
But oh yeah, falafel.
You got to sop it up. Sop it up, people.
Exactly. Try and get your shit in order to find the key to the hole. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like,
Kevin, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everyone go check out the new Venomous Concept, Politics versus the Erection. Came out via Season to Miss on August 28th. So it's out there right now. Go check it out. He's got some new lockup coming up. I'm stoked about it. You guys should be too. Cheers, Kevin. Thank you so much.
thanks so much. Stay safe.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. What a great chat. Super insightful. What a very, very smart individual. I love having chats like this, taking me in different directions, exposing me to some thoughts that I wouldn't have had. So I honestly greatly appreciated Kevin taking the time to have a chat with me. Go check out that new Venomous Concept record that came out via Season to Miss. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. It is a powerhouse of a record crafted by an extreme super group. I'm all about it. I'm also very excited about that new one that's coming up. He just dropped one and he's already got 2 more in the bag. I wish that I was on the ball as much as they are. If you enjoyed this Vox and Hops episode, you should most definitely go and subscribe to it on the podcast platform of your choice. I have over 190 other great episodes for you to go back and listen to. Vox and Hops is brought to you by Sound Talent Media. I have one more episode coming at you this Friday, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.